somebody dies, leaves a will, and another one also dies without a will. In this case, we want to know there is a will or no will. And if that will is read after the burial or before the burial of the person, what happens? Today, we want to dive into that topic to understand, with the follow up of our previous podcast, where we're talking about making a will. As a man, as a woman out there, have you prepared to make your will? Does the will make us think that we are soon dying? What is the purpose of the will? And what is the importance of that will in order to save distress for your family? In this case, we still have one and only Fiona Orichiriza, a lawyer and a family lawyer, an experienced lawyer who has gone through different experiences, but most of all, a person who loves the community. And this is why she's always here telling us about what to do. We do not want you to mess, or we do not want you to leave your family in distress, in hate, in haste, name it. You're most welcome, Fiona.
Thank you. Thank
My land friend.
Thank you,
You know, when you
Bravo.
take along with lawyers as well, you become a lawyer as well. So I have more information, and I'm sure that you guys, I appreciate you following us on LinkedIn, those who are following us on Twitter, those who are following on Facebook, those who are following on Instagram, and of course on our TikTok. You're most welcome once again. It's my pleasure, and I would like to appreciate you as a lawyer for always coming up to give information back to the community. And to me, I say this is giving back to the community. There's nothing that is amazing than supporting the community. So it's a pleasure, and in a special way, Fiona, and I'm Zero Handbot.
Thank you so much, Bravo. Thank you, the viewers. Thank you for the people who engaged on our previous episode. I got so many people who came to my inbox, people who know me, and they said, "We saw you on this podcast." I was really happy because that means that we did not come here to waste their people's time. We gave information which was vital and which received a positive there was a positive response towards it, and people could ask questions. There are people who came to my inbox. I shared with you some of the screenshots, and I think that it necessitated us to come back here, and I appreciate you creating this time and inviting me back. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Yes, our topic today is about the will again. In this case, the other time we're talking about making a will. But after making a will, there's that time when the will is read. If you're lucky that the will surfaces in the family. But in this case, we're looking at where there is a will and it's read, what happens after, and then there's no will. What happens? You as a lawyer.
All right. So by and large, we are talking about administration of estates, and like I said before, we have people, when you die with a will, we say you have died testate. And when you die without a will, we say you've died intestate. So there are different processes and procedures under either case. And in this case, when a person dies and there is a will, where that will is brought before the burial or after the burial, because it would depend on circumstances, because the people who are keeping your will probably know about your death. And maybe they also have further instructions like, when I die, bring this will, let it be read, and such that if there is anything that needs to be done before I'm buried, it can be done. But by and large, when you have a will, you can't just open and say, oh, I have received the car, therefore let me put the key and I drive it off. No. There is a document we call probate. So when you have when the will is read, the executors will require services of a lawyer to draft a petition for grant of probate. Now they will attach the will, they'll attach identification, they will attach the death certificate. Of course, we all know that right now, NIRA is one of the big entities when it comes to registration of persons, both birth, marriage, and death. So you'll need to have a death certificate, then you attach the particulars of the applicants, you attach that will, and then you submit these documents to court. Now, court has also the internal processes. They'll have to identify these people. They'll have to see whether somebody is going to come and contest. I think there is also advertising the notice in the Gazette or in a newspaper of wide circulation. But by and large, when court is satisfied that all requirements are complied with, they will give you a document which is called probate. So this document, it will be written on grant of probate. Now, probate is the authority you use to implement the clauses of the will. So let's say there is land, and that land is still is of course in the names of the deceased, who is the testator, and he has willed that land to Bravo. And now the executors, to make sure that Bravo you get that land, they'll have to get the probate and then the will, and then they go to the lands office. They sign transfer forms. When it is in the second part of the question, under, for example, administration of estates where somebody doesn't have a will, they first transfer all the properties to themselves. So here the executors will put the land or the assets in their names, and then with the power of the probate, they will begin transferring these properties to the respective beneficiaries. Now, where somebody dies and they didn't leave a will, there is also a process. First of all, you have to um, notify the office of the administrator general that somebody died. So you'll need an LC letter of the person where the person was buried, a death certificate again from NIRA, and the notification of death. So these are put in they open a file, say the estate of so and so. Now, of course, the also internal workings of the Administrator General's office, they will assign a state attorney or an officer to that file. Now, that particular officer will then issue a letter, or maybe the thing you need to know is that we have regional offices for Administrator General's offices. We have an office here in Kampala. I also know there's an office in Bara. So depending on where the person who died is, that's where you report the death. If they died and they are in the central, you will most likely have to report at head office. If I don't know about the east and the north, but I am sure about the west, the regional office is in Bara. So if you report the death where the person has property or where they were buried. So now, if they were buried, for example, in the village, but all their assets are in Kampala, you may have to report that death at the head office, and they can always advise whether they are transferring it to a different regional office or not. But well, they will issue a letter. So the office of the Administrator General acts through other offices, through the CAO, the district CAO, or through the town clerk, whom they instruct to go into the family and hold the family meeting. Now, the prudent thing to do is that if you have gone to this office and reported the death and they have issued this letter, you need to inform every other person who has a stake in the estate, not necessarily as a beneficiary, but who could have information that could be very, very vital. For example, the siblings of the deceased, the parents of the deceased, the LC1 of the village, maybe the other leaders on the village of the meeting which has been called. Now, that meeting is chaired by a representative of the Administrator General. It is a family meeting, but the chair of it and the person who's going to take down the minutes is the representative of the Administrator General, either from the town clerk's office or from the CAO's office or straight away or straight from the Administrator General's office. Now, the key things is to know when this person died, where he was buried, did he have a spouse or spouses, who are the children, was he married or was he not married, what properties he had, and then they list everything. The reason why this is important is because the law of intestacy is strict.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you are cohabiting with a man
Yeah.
and you're not legally married,
Yeah.
even if you cohabit for 25 years,
Yeah.
you're not entitled to inherit in his estate
Yes.
under the laws of intestacy.
Yes.
And this brings us back to the question of why the will is important. Because in the will, I can give my property to whomever I want. But when there is no will,
Yes.
the law takes effect. And the law says for you to be married, marriage is a legal concept,
Yes.
not a cultural concept.
Yes.
And there is either you have to have a marriage certificate, and for people to know, even customary marriages, you go register it at the sub counter and they issue you a customary marriage certificate.
Yes.
And it becomes very important because some people say, I'm a wife, you have no proof, no
Yes.
bride price was paid, no function took place.
Yes.
So now it becomes, so
And there are
once,
many, and there are many who are out there who have
yes,
been introduced. They don't have a certificate.
if you're introduced and you have, like, for example, photographs of the function,
Yes, it's okay.
you are on the
Clear.
safe side, because maybe in the course of this discussion, I'm going to let you know, in a particular case that
Yeah.
had an actual discussion on what it means to be married under customary law.
Yes.
So when the minutes are gathered, they take them back to the Administrator General's office. Now, in that meeting, you also, the people who have attended have to nominate who is going to be the
Yeah.
administrator
Yes.
or administrators.
Yes.
So, in an instance where, for example, you find that, let me use an example of a man. This man had 4 wives. He had five children from each of the wives. Uh, for some people, they feel like if we nominate one wife, they may be unfair to the rest. So
Yeah.
sometimes they nominate either like two
Mm-hmm.
or a child from each of the wives,
Yeah.
and so that they become a group of administrators.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now, there are also circumstances where you find uh, there is a woman who had children from two different men,
Yeah.
and she's the one who has passed away. And they feel like if we only choose the children of this other man, they may disadvantage these children. So
Yeah.
they may pick a member from either side.
Yes.
Now, the office of the administrator general will issue a document called the certificate of no objection, meaning they don't object to these people have been nominated being granted letters of administration.
Yes.
Now, once they get that, they make a petition to court.
Yeah.
Now they will. The petition is that they are applying for letters of administration. They attach their national IDs, attach the near death certificate, attach the minutes,
Yes.
and then also attach a notice
Yeah.
of application of letters of administration.
Yeah.
They submit these to court. Now, court will uh, will give will give, once they have viewed the file, they will allow the applicants to go and advertise their application
Yeah.
in a newspaper of wide
The
circulation,
administrators.
yes, or in the Uganda Gazette. Why do they do this? They are giving they are giving the public an opportunity to know that Bravo has applied to be the administrator of the estate of so and so. So
Yeah.
if I'm a secret child who is not known,
Yes.
I can come and I say, oh, also
my
here I
father.
am. Oh,
Yes.
he was my father. So they want to give an opportunity to the public or even creditors. The people who demanded your father money
Yes.
may have a stake in his estate.
Yes.
His other business partners may have a stake. So they, once they have advertised this, then the court will call the applicant and the beneficiaries to come for what they call identification.
Yeah.
You go before the registrar, the magistrate, depending on the size of the estate, and then they identify you, and then the file will be forwarded to the judge. If nobody has lodged a caveat, then they will grant you letters of administration.
Yeah.
And then you can take these letters of administration and you go and you begin
Changing.
administering the
The
estate, distributing according to what the law says. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing,
It
guys.
was a long one, but yes, that
no, no,
is
no.
it.
No, it's a very good explanation that somebody out there can
Mm.
be able to get, because I've seen a lot of pain, a lot of pain, a lot of fighting, a lot, especially when somebody dies with no will. But let's also ask this. You said it must be a legally married wife. I am not married to my wife legally, and I chose not. Okay, I didn't choose to go to church or wed her legally. We've worked for these things together, and I choose to make a will. much as she's not legally married to me, and I give out my things at my time of death. Is that legal? Am I allowed? Because I know there are many men out there who may have not chosen to marry their wives, but they choose to say, I am going to leave a will to clear my wife out of this problem of fighting of family. Can I make that will when I'm not legally married to this wife and I will her my estate?
Yes, you can. But and you know that is where I earlier discussed that you see, and for the new viewers, kindly go and watch the video before where we discussed the importance of writing a will. The will contains the wishes of the maker or of the testator.
Yeah.
If your wish is that your property should go to the church, that's your wish.
Yes.
You're allowed that wish.
Yes.
If your wish is to give your cohabitee,
Yeah.
I'm not taking away from the word wife, but
Yes.
the word wife has a legal meaning,
Yes.
but it also has a society meaning.
Yes.
In the society, we consider if this man is living with this woman, that is his wife, this is their husband.
Yes.
But when it comes to matters of the law, you don't make assumptions.
Yes.
There are things you have to prove to
Yeah.
either say, I'm the wife or I'm not.
Yes.
Because one thing that you should know is that, and I think this is still even under the current law, if you were separated from your husband, you have kunobad,
Yes.
and your husband dies,
Yes.
under the intestacy rules, you do not inherit anything from your husband.
If you have already separated.
No, like you had a quarrel,
Yes.
and you part
Yes.
within the 3 months you're out of the home. If your husband dies and there is no will, under the rules of intestacy,
You're not supposed to.
you're not allowed to inherit
Even
from
when
there.
I'm legally married.
Yes,
Even when she's legally married.
because
she separates with you in the space of 3 months. And in
anytime
those 3 space of
you
months,
die.
he dies. She's not supposed to claim any of your property.
Yes.
Guys.
And if you and I am
Guys who
yet
are out
to
there
see
and
whether
yes.
if they changed that position under
Yes.
the new amendment,
Yes.
but under the old law, if you separate with your husband,
Yes.
you like it was a terrible thing.
Yes.
But and you know, families, people will always fight. There will be fights, but it was a terrible thing.
I want the ladies out there. I know there are
It
ladies.
could even be a man
There
as
are
well.
ladies who have kunobad.
You
who
better
have-
go back quickly
there are
before he
women who have
dies.
kunobad for 10 years. And
Oh,
they-
for 10 years, I
no,
think it
and
would
you
be
know what
just
they
fine.
say? They're like, I am his legally married wife.
If you're not in the will,
and when he dies,
you are going to be shocked.
And when he dies, I'll move forward and I'll claim his estate
Oh,
because
no,
I am
darling.
legally married to him. I want people to understand it today.
Yes, it will be terrible,
Make it clear.
especially
Yes.
where.
Yes.
Well, the in my and this is my opinion. This is not the opinion of the law.
Yes.
This is not the opinion of a woman or what. I feel that under the rules of intestacy,
Yes.
the spouses are disadvantaged.
Yes.
Because in the law, they say a spouse takes 20%.
Yes.
Of
25.
the 20% of
Yes.
the estate.
Yeah.
Under the old law, I think it was like 14%. So
Yes.
now it's 20%.
20%.
75% goes to the lineal descendants.
Yes,
And
the
we've
children.
already the children, but these can also be grandchildren if they are not children. They take
Yes.
75%. 4% goes to the dependents,
Yes.
maybe the sibling or the mother or whoever was living with the deceased at the time. 4%. And 1% goes to the customary heir.
Yes.
So by that equation alone, I feel like the spouse is already disadvantaged.
Yes.
And that is why for some people, they choose to, when they buy property, they have it in their different separate names, such
Yes.
that if something happens and there's no will, the person already has like a backup plan,
Yes.
you know. But they going back to the question you asked, if you have not married somebody and you include them as a beneficiary in your will,
Yes.
that is your wish and it should be respected.
It should be respected.
Yes.
When they are not included in the will, that is catastrophe.
Catastrophe.
Maybe there's something I also learned, your lawyer. There's something that I learned for the men out there and women out there. I learned something about the property ownership. You know, where you find that you buy land, you put your wife as the owner and the husband the full owner, which means that at the time of death, if the property was owned by the two people, definitely when the husband dies, the property goes to the names of the wife. Vice versa, which also I've realized it's also good protecting your wife if you loved your wife. You remember the other time when I talked about loving my wife and putting my whole will and leaving my wife with authority to make a will. So many people came in to attack. Others attacked. Others says I am bewitched. Others says that I'm mad. Others says we've never seen such an African. But I was trying to give you a scenario that people fall in love and really they make it. Okay, they make it. I was trying to bring out that perspective. But if you're out there and you love your wife, as I said, it's not possible to leave a will. You can buy your property, put it as full ownership together. When you die, she will automatically own the property. When a man dies, you'll automatically own the property. Do we agree, lawyer?
Okay,
My
so
friend.
okay, so the question is on joint ownership or
Joint ownership.
co-ownership
Ownership,
of
yes.
land.
Yes. Or
So,
property, not land, even property, any property.
well, when we say land, we mean the buildings,
Yeah,
the hard
everything.
assets
Yes,
anyway.
yeah,
I mean, real estate.
yes,
So, there are two concepts under the law.
yes,
One is called a joint tenancy.
yes,
One is called a tenancy in common.
yes,
Now, when you read them, you cannot interpret them the way we interpret English because they are legal terms.
yeah,
A joint tenancy, what does it mean and what is its effect? A joint tenancy means that the two people who appear on the property, they could be husband, wife, they could be friends, they could be siblings, because joint is not exclusive to a couple.
yeah,
So let us assume these are two friends, these are two cousins, this is a father and a son, this is a daughter and a mother,
yeah,
any two people.
yeah,
If you buy property and you are registered as joint tenants, it is, in my opinion, it's a good and a very bad thing. It's a bad thing because the laws that apply to joint tenancy rank higher than the laws of succession. What does that mean? First and foremost, joint tenancy, each of you people own this property 100%.
yeah,
There is no saying maybe I contributed 2 million, you contributed 10 million, therefore I have 20%, and then maybe you have 80%. There is nothing like that. There is something more technical called I think they are the unity of time, like you were registered at the same time, you acquired the interest at the same time.
yeah,
Those are more technical and they are more legal. But by and large, what does that mean? If one of the joint tenants dies, the land, the property automatically goes to the surviving. They have the survivor's right.
yeah,
That means that if you're a man and you have 5 kids, and you get your oldest child and you say, let me protect my property against my thieving relatives,
yes,
and you register yourself with the one son on the property,
yes,
and somehow you appear as joint tenants,
yes,
that son of yours does not have to share that property with anybody.
with
It
anybody.
is their property.
Yeah,
But you see how it can disadvantage the siblings.
yes,
If he's not a person with conscience to say that, this is a wrong thing.
yeah,
If you are friends and your friend, when people die, many thoughts come into people's head.
yeah,
Then I will tell him, but you see this property, it cannot go through administration of estate. The law says that as a joint tenant, you have the survivor's right. So this property is yours as a whole.
yes, as an
You see
individual.
how that you're disadvantaging your family
Yes,
from inheriting from
yeah,
something that you may not even know. Now, on the other side, tenants in common, it means that your portion or your share can be um, ascertained, it can be distinct, it
yes,
could even be in percentages.
yeah,
And where a tenant in common dies, the family is entitled to inherit the portion.
yes,
And there could be 10 tenants in common. You
yeah,
can find 5 people on the property, a title deed. Bravo, Fiona, Sheila, Solomon, so and so,
yeah,
as tenants in common,
yeah,
because each one actually has a share therein.
yeah,
So unless you have looked at your circumstance and you feel like, if I die, nobody should be entitled to this property, be
only my
very
wife.
careful on whom you appear as a joint tenant.
Yes,
Now, the other thing which is funny, if you are married and you're a couple and you appear as Bravo
Mhm.
and so and so. And there are no words following. There
Yes.
is no joint tenants, there is no tenants in common.
Yes.
A joint tenancy is assumed.
Going to tenants assume there
Is
are two
assumed.
people on the title,
Yes.
and when
No, it's a husband and wife on the title.
yes,
And there are no words that follow their names.
yes,
Because you can be Bravo and A as
yes,
joint tenants,
yes,
Bravo and A as
yes,
tenants in common,
yes,
much as your husband and wife. But if it is Bravo and so, and they don't describe your relationship,
yes.
but you're married, under common law, a joint tenancy is assumed.
Okay.
Now, the funny, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think under common law there were so many
Yeah.
concepts that were funny. If the husband and wife died in the car crash,
Yes.
died at the same time,
Yes.
they
Like.
would assume the husband died first.
Mm-hmm.
And so the property would devolve to the wife, who also now is dead,
Yes.
and therefore it would go to her estate.
Wow. No, guys, I think you're getting it clear, and I think
Oh
let's
God,
listen in
that is
perfectly.
has always been
And
a very
yeah,
funny thing.
so like this couple, for example, that was murdered. Okay, like this couple that was murdered in Entebbe. Maybe I'm not trying to assume. I'm assuming. Let's say the properties were in the same names. Together in this scenario, this couple is killed at the same time or died in a crash, but this couple, let's use them. So you mean in this case they know it's the man automatically who died first? So immediately, what changes the property now into the estate of the woman?
I know as a lawyer, I try to be very careful on the things I comment on.
Yes.
I'm not going to comment on the couple.
No, I'm just saying
Rest,
it
God
just
rest their souls.
in just scenario, in such a
But
scenario.
the scenario I gave you, let's assume they were not murdered. Let's assume there is another couple A and B.
Yes.
When they are driving to God knows where, they crash in the car
Yes.
and they die.
Yes.
There is nobody to say that the man died first or the woman died
Yes.
second.
They're all dead.
Under the common law
Yes.
doctrine,
Yes.
they would assume the man died first.
Okay.
And therefore, since there is a survivor's right,
Yes.
the
Woman.
property, which is a joint property, went to the woman's estate who also died, and therefore it goes in her line.
It goes in her line.
Yes.
So you mean the family of this man
Yes.
cannot come and claim this joint property. It's
Where
only,
both died at the same time. No,
yes,
they
it's
cannot.
only the family of the woman
Yes.
who claims rights on this property. I don't know who made these laws. And,
I don't know.
sometimes the law is unfair. But, as you know, guys,
those are
the
common law. Those
yes,
are common law principles, and
yes,
we inherited the common law. So
yes,
here they may not have applied so much, but if you find a sharp lawyer,
yes,
they will go to court and they will cite the law as it is.
as it
And
is.
as a judge, you know that is the truth.
So,
Because I have had a discussion with the Registrar of Titles, and he said, "Do you know people don't know what joint tenancy means?"
yes,
And you see somebody coming and say, "My friend died and we were joint tenants," and you're like, "Have you contacted his family?" And he tells you, "My lawyer told me that I am entitled to this property."
yeah,
Because, and that's where sometimes you need a lawyer in your life.
yes, of course. At the end of the
You do need a lawyer in your life, because ignorance of the law will
Is
not
no
defend
defense.
you, will not defend you. So you will find yourself in
Yeah.
a situation where your family is going to lose out on property because, for example, let's assume after this podcast, you go back and you look at the property you bought with your sister or your friend, and you find that you're joint tenants.
Yes.
You can formally apply to the Registrar of Lands.
Yes.
You point out that you're joint tenants and that was never your intention, and therefore you want to be re-registered as tenants in common,
Yes.
and that correction will be made,
Yeah.
such that whatever happens to you, your estate will not lose out on that share in that property. Yes.
So at what point do we claim a share? At what point do we claim a share of a joint tenancy or a joint partnership or something like that? At what point do we come to say, because we've seen this, you're like, no, his girlfriend owned this property, but he was my brother, which means it was a 50-50 property. She gives us the 50% of our brother. Or let's say 50%, this woman gives us the 50% of our father.
Okay.
As children, much as the title was with her and us, because many people will come forward and say, but she was not married to our father. So she was not married to her father, much as they were owning this property together. So we needed a 50% share
Yes.
over the other side. How do you resolve that matter? Because so many people have come up to claim this share.
Okay, usually that kind of situation sometimes will end up in court.
Yes.
So, and and I'm not throwing shade on lawyers. Lawyers, we are paid to do our job.
Yes.
Sometimes a client will come and you will explain to them that this is what is most
Unclaimable.
likely. No, this is most likely what is going to happen.
Yes.
They will go to the other and I said, no, trust
I'll win it.
me, I'm going to do it for you.
Give me the money.
So they go and put a petition. This person will come and you're going to defend them. When you get to the trial of the matter, they will lay their claim, you will lay your defense, and the judge will make the determination.
Yes.
They will
Throw out the case.
yeah,
It's clear.
depending on the evidence which is there. If this was a joint tenancy, what do the rules say?
Yes.
Because a joint tenancy supersedes laws of succession.
Yeah, laws of
And
succession.
under joint tenancy, the law says that the other person has the survivor's right.
Yeah.
Hmm? You know,
So we need
so
to understand the survivor's right.
yeah, so much as you can feel like this was our parent, we are entitled to half of the property. And mistakes in the law are very, very costly.
Yeah,
They are
mistakes
very,
in the
very
law
costly.
on
For
both
me,
sides.
the time when I learned about that concept, I asked my father, there's a property he has. I said, where is that title?
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't want to feel like I want to take the property.
And then
But
your
I
father
asked
regrets
to,
of having a lawyer in the house.
I wanted, actually, he never showed me, but I think after this discussion, I may need to look at, see what is there. Because if it's a joint tenancy,
Yes.
somebody is going to take this land. And if you go to court, there is not going to be anything you can do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. Wow. I think, guys, who are watching our podcast, you're learning something, one or two. And today I also learned about the joint tenancy, and which is good. And I mean, we all have a way out. So for the other side, when I said I can leave the will to my wife and she can take a decision, if I don't want this trouble, I make it a joint tenancy. And it has nothing to do with that as well. Probably you don't want people to go for litigation and pull of ropes here. This is how we can protect our wives whom we are not married to.
Actually, the joint tenancy, because if you keep saying wife, people may think this is about family, but a joint tenancy is
It has nothing to do with that.
no, it is two people owning property where they are named as joint tenants. So this could be a sister and a sister.
Yes.
It could be a friend and a friend.
But
Could be, but in terms of you wanting to protect, by the way, I think you bring out a very, very good concept where you can say, I have 10 plots of land. What I'm going to do, I have 5 children. I'm going to register myself and each of my children on each property as joint tenants.
Yes.
The moment I die, there is
everybody
no.
gets theirs. Yeah, I think that's the case. Instead of going for litigation, pull of ropes, then you do that.
Yeah,
That's
but
amazing. That's
that
amazing.
yeah, that may be a solution, but remember that when it comes to administration of estates, you're not only looking at land and houses. You have NSSF, you have gratuity, you have money in the bank, you have shares, you have all these. Maybe something that we can talk about is that sometimes you can find, let's assume that's the case, and we say, okay, there's no property in question. You still need the probate or the letters of administration to touch the other side of the estate, which is all the things I've just mentioned.
Yes. There's something I also learned, Council. There's something I want my viewers also to learn, to know. There's something that we always take for granted, next of kin. And most people do not know the role of a next of kin. I thought it was something very big, that even when you ask someone and someone says, she is my next of kin, he's my next of kin. Guys, I want you to learn that today next of kin is somebody they inform when there is a challenge. Next of kin is somebody actually they inform of your death, or somebody who cannot take over anything that you own. That's when I learned about it.
Yes.
And if you're in the bank, I will tell you guys, if you want to clear things in the bank, if you want to leave your family not distressful, there's a document. I have forgotten, sorry. There's a document in the bank. This document, you ask the bank to provide you this document. You fill this document and you clearly let the bank know that at the time of my death, my money directly goes to so and so. That document You don't need to go to the estates management. You don't need to go to the administrator general. The bank will automatically give the money to the person you have allocated with. The banks, unfortunately, and I will speak the truth, the banks do not give this document to the owners of the accounts because some money is lost in the banks. But if you go to the bank and ask the bank to give you that document, I think I should. I'll find out that document and I'll come back to another podcast.
Me, I know what you're talking about, but I want to give you information on that.
Okay, but it's clear.
Transfer on death.
Transfer on death.
Okay. Is it applicable in Uganda?
No, you know the reason? Because you know the reason?
There is no reason.
Most people do not know about it.
Not really. Not
listen,
really.
in the bank, I ask somebody, in the bank, transfer upon death. When I go as me, the owner of the account and the signatory, I am supposed to sign that document. Upon my death, that money will not be taken to court under any circumstances.
Do you know any bank which has that form?
Yes, they have it.
Which bank?
I am allowed. Listen, council.
Then okay, let's not name names.
No,
but let me.
I'm not going to name a bank, but I would want to tell you the truth. There are people who have done it because look, it's like my will. It's like when I make a will.
I understand.
But when I go to the bank and I say this is my account holder, I am the signatory, and upon death, these are the regulations. Like for example, what the bank has brought now. You know, when the bank they're asking you that in case there is a challenge, where should the bank transfer your money? Do you know the reason why you signed that? Because in case there is any problem or Bank of Uganda is closing this bank or there's a problem, that bank, the system automatically sends the money to your bank, to your mobile number. So this is what they're trying to put in place to do this. But that document, if you go to the bank and you sign off your money upon death, there's nobody who can contest it anywhere in the law.
Okay, so this is my submission and this is my response because this is his opinion, but this is not the law.
Yes, the law says talk about the law.
The system, actually, a few years ago, we were discussing it with friends and I called like 5 people from different banks. We were, I'm still passionate about, but maybe we can pursue it together. We were trying to advocate for the implementation of that document. But you see, under our law, maybe look at the exception being insurance. Insurance, when a person dies, you don't go through the probate system or what. So you have an insurance policy, the person dies, they present the beneficiaries, and the near death certificate, and money will be paid. Now, unfortunately, the omission of a thing in the law brings uncertainty. And in Uganda, we don't have the practice of transfer on death. It's called a transfer on death document. And I spoke to different bank executives. Nobody has that information. It is the way a prenup. We don't know whether they are legal in Uganda or they are illegal because it is not our practice. So yes, there is a document called a transfer of death, but banks are regulated by law. Our laws are silent on a transfer of death arrangement. That's why many banks will not adhere to that.
You know why they don't adhere to that?
No, because the Succession Act says there are 2 ways that you can access bank money on an account of a person who has died. The people present letters of administration or they present probate. Now, that's why you cannot take the will to the bank and say, but in the will he said, we don't know whether that's true or not. By the way, I'm on your side on the transfer of death. But the challenge will be, who will the bank contact? Remember that transfer of death, me, I extensively read about it. I'm still allowed to conduct my money as usual. I will deposit, withdraw. Just that at the point of death, whatever money probably is remaining on the account is where you can say 25% go here, 10% go here, because you cannot even be certain of the amount because you're dead. And since nothing stops you from, utilizing that account, most people prefer to arrange it according to percentages. I think it is a great thing. The only problem is right now, banks have no way of knowing you're dead. And there is a law called the National Payment System.
Yes.
A bank account which has been inactive for 6 months.
Yes, it's
The money is sent
dormant.
to the
The
treasury,
central bank. Yes.
the central bank. So you may have died within that time. Your next of kin did not know they are the next of kin. Most people who use next of kin, they don't tell them you're next of kin.
Yes.
It's the way we use people. I can put you somewhere as my referee when you don't even know.
Yeah.
So most next of kin don't have this information. They don't know whether my bank accounts are.
Yes.
They don't know which accounts I have. But they're there as my next of kin.
Yes.
Now, this would work if banks would actively come out and say, we have got this service.
Yes.
But as long as we are still debating whether it's legal or not legal, it is an area of uncertainty.
Yes.
But also, there is an offense called intermeddling with the estate of the deceased.
Yes.
I can go to court and I say that the bank and yourself, you are guilty of intermeddling with my father's estate.
Yes.
And I will go to court with the bank, take you and the bank who distributed the money according to that document. And I say, in the law, this document is not provided for.
But you see, why this document? To me, I mean, it's a point of contention.
Yes.
But this document is a must. I don't know why it has been silenced in this country.
It has not been silenced.
Yes.
It is not known.
It is not known because they say, okay, I'm not using a hearsay. It's just there, guys. Everybody can contact their bank. This document you're supposed, like for example, if I walk to the bank and I allow their bank to keep my properties, and I give them authority to have my key, okay? The same document is in the banks that I have a right in my bank to say at my time of death, when you're asking me for next of kin, then I'm giving you my next of kin as a bank. I have also a right to say at my time of death, this money should be claimed by my son, so and so, and I put all their details in the bank. And they are aware of this to avoid the same problem of the court processes that you're looking at. And I will clear off the issue of the bank. And that is permissive.
I hear you.
Not to do it.
No, listen,
it's allowed.
Brian, I am on your side 100%. The problem is that this is not a practice the banks have.
Yeah, because
let's listen to me. Because in other jurisdictions, in other countries, this is what they actually do. They sign that document called transfer on death. They list the name of beneficiaries and their respective accounts and the percentage of the amounts they want to go to them. Here, I have got 3 active accounts. Anybody who has opened the bank account, there is only provision for next of kin. Banks rarely contact their customers. First, banks rarely contact their customers. And if your account is dormant for 1 year, most banks just close. They don't get in touch. It is of recent that banks have started being active. They say, oh, you're not transacting WhatsApp because, there's a bit of competition and people, they want to retain their customers. But by and large, I think if we had that if that process could be implemented within the law, it would be a perfect solution. You could as well use it for NSSF. But you see, for the bank to prove you died, you would still have to present things like the death certificate.
Yes, absolutely. They present the death certificate, of course, but they would have rights because it was well cleared by the deceased.
I don't have a problem with it.
Go to them.
No, I actually, let me tell you, I engaged there were about 5 executives, and you know what they told me? Bank of Uganda needs to be involved. The National Association of Bankers needs to be involved. Several entities need to be involved. And, they were saying, Parliament can pass. I was like, you know what? That is a longer process. But for example, if Bank of Uganda came out and gave regulations and they said, banks, you're allowed to do this. You see how easy it would be?
You see what I've seen?
Because,
you see what I've seen?
Let me say
there
something.
Are things they have chosen to keep in silence.
In circles, weird circles.
Because there are many beneficiaries. Look, for example, you see when MTN, so many people die, they leave money on mobile money because nobody has come up to save, to say, yes, somebody left money on mobile. Where does this money go to? Because they don't choose to tell the public because there's a lot of money. You've seen people who have offshore accounts. Okay.
But that money goes to the Bank of Uganda. As of now, under the National Payment System, 6 months your SIM is inactive.
No, actually,
there's a million.
No, there is now where they ask us that at a time we need your mobile money. There's something you sign. Where there's a problem, money goes to your mobile. I don't know whether it is Bank of Uganda that sends the money, that is supposed to send the money. So there are things that we have in this country that people have chosen to keep silent because there's so much money that actually, I would not say government, but that money is never claimed by anybody. It goes back to the coffers of the central bank because nobody has come up to actually sensitize people and say, guys, you can step up and have clear document about how your money is going to be given out at the time of death. And I want to assure you, Fiona, the council, it is available in the banks. Step into the bank, ask this document, and sign it off. That one I'm sure of.
Okay,
Yes.
so maybe at the time of airing this, we'll
Yes.
have contacted the bank and
Yes.
we can put one of those transfer forms from any bank and people will know which bank they can go
No,
to.
no, no.
But
There are banks.
no,
No,
but
not
because
any bank. No, I'm not saying which bank to go to. The
no, I
bank you
mean,
go to, you must ask them this document
they don't
and
have
sign it
transfer
off.
on death.
They have to.
They should.
They should.
I completely
But it's
agree
like
with
making a
you.
will, because me, the owner of my estate, like as I make a will, I have a right to also determine who takes my money at the time of death.
Yeah, but you see, you've included it in the will.
And this not in the will. This document, it's very clear. Why was this brought up? Is because so many people suffer going to the banks to claim this money, and I would sort it out and say my money would definitely go to my wife, my children, and so on and so at the time of death. And I don't want to go through the other hassle of family claiming the estates. Yes, we'll find out that, guys, and make sure that even if when you're watching this podcast, go to your bank and get this information. If it is not there, they should tell you where that document is. The document is in the bank. I'm an entrepreneur, remember?
You know,
so I make sure that I know this.
The good thing is that I know the document.
Yes.
I know the countries that
Yes.
practice it.
Yes.
I have engaged with. Some of these things you don't have to name names of the bank.
Yes.
At least 5 executives from 5 different banks, asking them about that service.
They don't know.
And of course they don't.
Or they choose. They don't want to tell you the information.
No, but I'm their client.
No,
I am their client, so they would definitely.
I think in my podcast, I'm going to bring out some of the things that have been chosen to be silenced, not people to understand them or to know about them in line of, if let's go to URA, where you are not told, and that institution will not come to tell you that you are supposed to do this, isn't it? They leave it to our ignorance, and it's until when you're in a problem and then you find out. It's the same. Some of the things are many here, but they choose to keep it in silence because there's somebody out there who benefits when people die without hope. I'll tell you this scenario again. They are young men whom I saw are enjoying free rent for 4 years. Now, the owner of the property died, but none of the family members knew this property because they could send money on his mobile phone. And today, even by that, I will tell you, there are many men who have properties out there. They don't want even the wives to know.
Even wives are hiding properties.
Wonderful. Even wives. And the money only is paid by the tenants on their mobile money. So at the time of death, this woman dies, nobody knows about her property. These young men, I say it on TikTok, these young men are enjoying free rent for 4 years. Nobody has ever knocked on their door to claim. Council, I know this is a heated argument, but as we bring out information to people out there, people are able to really also go and find out information. Not so?
Yes.
And we are here, guys. Our podcast is about it's informative, educative, and please feel free to also come and say, Uncle Bravo, I'm going to be on your podcast. I want to make this information more elaborate. And you may be there. We are not the only ones that really have this brain all through. You can also join us once in a while. You can also be on our panel of our podcast. Please feel free to contact me, and then we can go into this. Now, we're talking about something. Let's go back. Let's go back, and there are questions. You've seen that our TikTok was very heated, and there are people who made some questions, and I would want to read them so that I am quoted right. Okay.
Okay.
In this case, we have someone says, my question is, my dad left us 4 kids as the beneficiaries on the NSSF. Again, my dad has had other kids outside. He never included or even introduced these children to us. should we be worried? They aren't even included in the will he left. Should we be worried?
Okay, so I don't know whether they should also be worried or not, but this is what I'm going to say.
Yes.
Uh, a problem arises where somebody comes and says, "Hey, I'm here and I
Yes.
need a share."
Yes.
Those children may not have been put as beneficiaries
Yeah.
in SSF or in the will, but maybe their father took care of their business aside,
Yes.
and that's why he didn't.
Yes.
Because also, how do they know about these children?
Yes.
If the father knew and maybe he didn't want them to be, plunged into this whole chaos,
Yeah.
like we discussed already, where you find a man is putting the quote unquote wife on a joint property
Yeah.
to save them from that whole problem.
Yeah.
Maybe he took care of them privately. But if he didn't, and these children come out and say, "Hey, here we are, and we are this person's children,"
Yeah.
and a DNA is performed, and they find that they are the person's children, they may have set aside the will and they divide the estate under the rules of intestacy.
Wow. So in this case, this will is contested.
Yes, let's
Should
assume
these
that.
children move forward to
Mm.
claim?
Well, like I have said, people have different interests.
Yes.
They are, like I've said, they are people who take care of their business to the T. They
Yes.
know that, when I pass away, I don't want this case to erupt.
They took
So,
over this family.
my other children, I'm going to sort them out privately, and I have set up their property, and they have them.
So
And that's why probably they are not appearing in this father's will and also in their NSSF.
there are those
And also probably that's why they have not come up.
no, maybe they're
No.
already taken care of and there was no
Yes.
proof of that document and they feel they should come and claim here.
Then that becomes a messy business. Because, because sometimes you just have to agree that you are in a mess and it's just messy business.
And you have to sort it out.
Yes.
Thank you. Another question. Another question, Council. Says, what if a man makes a will
Mm.
and all the beneficiaries in that will reject taking the allocated shares by the testator upon his death? What happens and how do we go about this problem?
We have so many estates which are not administered.
Yes.
They are there, so it will stay unadministered. Because
only that he didn't give us the reasons why they have refused.
Yeah.
Maybe let's go into this context.
Mm.
Maybe they were given a share they didn't expect.
Mm.
And they feel they should have taken a bigger share.
Mm.
And they are rejecting this. What happens in this case? Do we
Yeah,
quash
because
the
you
will?
see, no, because you see, if I have decided that me, I'm going to give you a house, or I'm going to give you the car, and for you, you wanted a plot of land.
Yes.
That is not your business to refuse my gift.
Yes.
If you refuse it, it will stay there unadministered.
Yes.
Because you see, the one thing you need to understand is that in Uganda, very few estates are administered. That's why we find great grandchildren
Yes.
trying to administer the estate of their great grandfather who died in 1932.
Yes.
So during this whole time,
They have not
these
been-
assets have been there. They have not been administered. And even in future, we are going to have many other unadministered estates. A case in point,
Yes.
you have people who have been living rent-free in a house
Yes.
that their landlord passed away and nobody has come to collect rent.
Yes.
So it puts an estate in hands of strangers.
Yeah.
Because to drive a car, even if I'm not on the logbook, I can drive that car.
Yes.
Other people will say, you know what, if you don't want it, after all, it's a house, I will live in it.
Yeah.
So the law does not have solutions for each and every society problem. That
Yes.
is the challenge.
So we need to
But by and large, many estates are not administered and life is going on. So if you reject the share, it will stay there in the limbo.
wow.
Mm.
Guys, what are you doing about this? Can we make sure that, yes, we don't leave our families in distress? If you're a woman out there and you're making these properties behind your husband, inform a colleague, inform a friend, and maybe let somebody know about them. And that friend also can know you don't know and they will take over. Why not? And again, the husbands, most husbands are the ones that are doing all this and hiding from
Why
their
are people
wives.
not trusting one another?
I mean, lack of trust, there's a lot of mistrust. And you know what amuses me? the mistrust, these people are sleeping together every day in same bed, and they also go ahead and have sex together.
Oh God.
And now we don't trust each other. You get my point? So it's amazing. They're in the same house, same bed, and again, what happened? Because when you get married, the two become one.
Yeah.
So where it has gone wrong? If we become married, the two become one. And you see when people are in church and how they are taking these vows, it's amazing. But after another day, the vows become they are
A
rendered
problem.
a
No,
problem.
but
So
if it may comfort your heart,
yes.
the vows are not in the Bible. Those
Wow.
vows are under the common law.
Oh, the vows are not. She's a liar. She
No,
says the vows.
I am not a liar. No, because I think we had this debate when we were in law school. Because
Yes.
these vows, when you read them,
Yes.
they were actually came up as a result of contract laws.
Yes.
Because the marriage is held to be,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an
There's even
enforceable
somebody who says that I was told what to say. I never said these things.
But once you sign, you sign.
Once you sign, you sign. So,
Yes.
guys, what went wrong? When the two get married, they become one. And if you're out there and you always walk to church, this church, every Sunday you're walking to church, my wife introduced her, everything, you're hiding the property out there. You're hiding everything. Your wife is hiding everything. You're the man, you're hiding everything. So every church you go to, I don't think you're doing what is right, because I don't think you're preaching what you
You're practicing.
you are practicing what you
No,
signed
no,
for.
no. But, and this one is just a banter.
Yes.
You see, trust is a very long road.
Yes.
Maybe they started out trusting one another.
And then the
But
trust
then
fell out.
one day this man gave you 10 million to start a business.
Yeah, and it were.
Wait, you did not even show one shop.
Yeah.
You did not show anything. The money disappeared. Then next time they give you another man. Now this man begins saying, but this woman
is not
who
trusted.
she's now putting you on pressure. Why don't we sell this property? Now you start for me a carbon. Because of the repeated kind of misbehavior, quote unquote, your spouse begin losing interest in you.
Yeah.
Your husband comes and tells you, lend me 20 million. You give the man. Before you know it, he's in Dubai with somebody else.
Yes.
Then you begin saying, I may not be safe here. I better begin,
But every day you're sleeping with this woman. But every day you're sleeping with this woman. The same woman cooks food.
Yes.
The same gives you juice. The same gives you concoctions.
Yeah, because
the same
they may
woman
listen. They may not want to kill you, because you see, eating somebody's food, I think is.
I was telling
You
people
want the audience
who
kill
are
us.
in an Empreteco entrepreneurship. This is out, guys. But we're in this entrepreneurship training, and we're talking about risk and risk and risk. Entrepreneurs and business people talk about so much on risk. Then I came up, I said, guys, there are so many risks that the greatest risk, the first risk is getting married. And then somebody says, no, you cannot say that. I said, no. Actually, the greatest risk is go to bed, sleep with a woman. It's the first risk you're creating. Or sleep with a man. Because the same woman sees you every day, sleeping comfortably. You're out there. They look at your ugliness. They look at your handsomeness or ugliness. And then they have a right to actually do anything on you. They cook your food. They prepare your water for bathing. Those who do that, you sleep with them. So the greatest risk, if you fear to go risk, the first risk you made was the risk of getting married. And everybody laughed. I said, no. Some those who are connected families, they were like, no.
But okay, that since we are on this banter, for me, let me tell you what I think the greatest risk is.
Yes.
The greatest risk is a man who beats the wife and still eats that woman's food. And I think that is why. And I think that women are really good people.
Yes,
tell me why somebody is not going to feed you something to, unalive you. You consistently beat this woman, mistreat her, but still eats her food. I think that is worse than what you're talking about.
Yes.
Whether it's just mistrust or maybe she's irresponsible. But here you're inflicting violence, and again you say, I want hot food. Oh, goodness.
My dear, if you still do that to a woman and you
don't do
her,
that.
I'm telling you, soon you start suffering from diabetes, hypertension, because probably they have made you die in 3 years or in 4 years. So, guys, sometimes we get our death out of such. You touch a woman, violence, of course, we detest it, and as a man, I detest that foolishness of any man that actually tortures a wife. And then when you torture your wife, you still have to go to bed and sleep with her. Even before you sleep with her, you're eating her food. So just know she will determine when you're gonna die. So, guys, thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy our podcast. We touch a lot of so many things, but we go down there to understand. Because when I start shooting questions here to this lawyer, she will be speaking at that level of lawyers, and some of you say, "What did she mean? A tester, manyas tester, what?" I don't know, but at least we try to make it more simplified. That when you're seated in your coach, you're able to know that yes, I think this resonates well with me. In a few words, please tell someone out there who has not made a will in 1 minute or two.
Okay.
Yes.
So viewers, thank you so much for giving us your time, for taking time to receive this information, internalize it, and go and implement it. I would implore all of you, go and make a will,
Yes.
because I know the fears. If you make a will, you die. A will can be contested, but I would still say go and make your will, put things in order, and involve a lawyer such that you don't make mistakes which will make your will be thrown out. Take care of a business. Take care of a business. For me, that is all I have to say.
Yes, and don't say you don't have a trusted lawyer. She is a lawyer.
Yes,
help
and
you
I'm
do
a
that.
trusted one.
She's a trusted lawyer. She can help you and make a will. And even before you think about making a will, you can contact Fiona, and she can lead you through to know how to make a will. And again, you don't have to be on your deathbed to make a will. You don't have to be dying soon to make a will. You don't have to be 70 years to make a will. The time is now. Go and make a will, and do not leave your family in distress. Thank you so much, and keep watching our podcast, and of course share our content out there for somebody who needs to know this information. Thank you so much again, and we appreciate Naria Motel for giving us the space where we make our podcast from. Thank you.